this is Muffin Man, and today I will be giving you all an extended guide on dewarding observer wards that block neutral camps. This is an extension of my original video, where I will go into more detail, cover the small and ancient camps, and correct some minor mistakes I made in my first video. I advise you go watch that video first before watching this if you haven't already. I also made a quick guide on neutral camp spawn boxes, which I highly suggest you watch now before watching the rest of this video, as I will proceed today with the assumption that you fully understand spawn boxes and how they work. To recap, people place observer or sentry wards in the spawn box to prevent us from pulling or stacking ancients. Typically this occurs early on, right at the start of the game, as pulling is an extremely efficient way of securing more experience for your supports, whilst the carries and solos farm. Wards placed by the opponent are invisible, so we use sentries to detect and destroy them. Gem is not an option at the start of the game, seeing as we don't start with enough gold and have more important things to spend our money on first. Sentries give us a true sight range of 950 AoE. I can demonstrate this 950 AoE through the use of a console command here. As you can see, this sentry placement that I used in my original video covers all these possible wards.
Your bottom tower has fallen.
Then, if you still can't find the wards, you can use this sentry placement, and it will cover the rest of the possible ward placements within the spawn box. Remember when you place your sentries to keep it outside the spawn box. You don't want to block your own camp. Now, alternatively, there is a different way you can place the sentry. Here. Now, why would you use this? Well, if you see your opponent has placed a ward to block your camp, but you know they haven't gone as far left to place ones over here, and you think it's either up on here or here, but you know for sure that it's on the right side, use this one. Or alternatively, if you think they definitely placed it on this side, you can use a sentry here. And it should cover that, yeah. So these two sentries will cover the entire spawn box too. Maybe there'll be like a small blind spot here. Now, I'd like to quickly correct some mistakes I made in the original video. I placed a sentry up here. This blocks the camp here, and as you can see, you can place the sentry a little lower, about here.
On my way.
As you can see, it'll reach, if I move a little bit higher, it'll reach as far as that rune ward up there, and give us further vision down here.
Yes.
Now, I did mention how you need to eat a tree with a tango, wasting a consumable, but it's not much of a waste if you successfully deward. Whereas you need to use a tango for this one, you don't need it for wards placed in here. You can walk straight in and see it. All you need is to send standard diet, poor camp. In the original video, where I showed that one sentry can cover them all, I may have lied. As you can see, it covers pretty much all of them, except for this one here, which is the absolute limit the ward can go. It can't go any further than that, but it will block the camp. So be mindful of that. There is a superior alternative, however, that will cover all of them. Just in here. If I can move in close enough, the circle would cover this ward as well. You can even push it in even closer. So if you put it in that close, it'll definitely cover that. Now, take note of these two wards here. I made a mistake in saying that you need to eat a tango to access it. You don't need a tango. You can just walk in real close and find it. Same for this. If you just walk in here, you'll find it without even having to eat the tango, as long as you've got a sentry true sight within range. Also, take note of these two wards. Make sure they're exactly in that point, because the spawn box line is right here. Any further to the right and the obs won't block it, such as here. That will not block the camp. And I'd be very careful with these two, since They're very hard to place, and a slight misplacement, either a little to the right or a little to the left, and they won't block the camp. So I'd much prefer if you tried spots like this, this, and this.
Naturally.
Moving on to small camps now. These camps are in fact pullable, and I'll make a guide on pulling in the near future, but for now, let's just focus on dewarding them. Unfortunately, there is no possible way to cover all possible obs placements with just one sentry for this camp. You can start by using a sentry on the edge here. It'll cover all these, but not the ones on the furthest to the left. To cover the rest, place a sentry just about here, remembering to keep it outside the spawn box. Wards can possibly be here as well. Also, to reach these, just go all the way around the back and need tangos if you need to access those. The dire small camp is a little easier, seeing as one sentry will cover all of them. One sentry about here, or one sentry just about here. There is also a hidden observer ward that can be placed here, so be mindful of that. If you can't see it, then you can need a tango to reach it. This one will reach it. Finally, onto ancient camps. Typically, these are blocked early on to prevent heroes such as Beastmaster or Tinker from stacking them up and farming the ancients with composite damage, spells like Wild Axes and March of the Machines. Now, take note that this obs ward, if it was placed a little bit further to the left, it would not block this camp. There is also another hidden obs ward here. Also, this obs ward is very good because it covers the rune as well as blocks the camp, killing two birds with one stone. Now, you can cover all the possible obs ward spots that block the camp with just one sentry placed roughly about here. Try and get it in line with this tree here so the circle reaches its maximum, and remember to keep the sentry on to the right of this pole, using the bush and the pole as a marker. If you're not feeling confident enough, you can always place the sentry a little bit to the right. But just remember that if you place it too far to the right, it's not going to cover this obs spot, although it is very rare that a player knows to place it there. Moving over to the dial. Now, the best sentry placement in my opinion is right on this cliff here. It won't block the camp and it'll give some good reach. Now I can't walk in there to demonstrate the circle, but you can roughly guess. It's not going to cover that far. It'll cover about like that area there. If you aren't be careful. If you place the sentry a little too high, like around here, it'll block the camp. So if you aren't feeling confident and comfortable enough to place the sentry right in that spot there, you can always place it down in the river. Just keep in mind that this won't have as far a reach as this one. Now there are some observer wards that can go as far as here, which is the absolute limit. If you still can't find the sentries, remembering to check the hidden ones in here behind the trees, then you're going to have to waste another sentry, and you should find them by now, because both those sentries will cover the entire spawn box. That brings us to the end of the guide. I'll leave the console commands for sentry range in the description for those interested. Remember to always think for yourself, and perhaps you can find even better spots to place sentries than I've shown in this video. Bye for now.